A lot of people think that once you start making more money, you'll just end up having to pay more tax and it's not going to be worth it. So today I wanted to show why that's actually not true and how income tax in Canada works and how the tax brackets in Canada are actually designed. So there's this really cool tool that CRA has created that does a really good job of breaking down tax rates and income brackets. One other thing to know is that income tax is split into two parts. So the first one is federal, that's the same all over Canada. And then there's a provincial part. So the provincial varies by province. So in this, you select your location. So I selected British Columbia, and then you input income. I'm just going to use 80,000 for this example, just so I can get a little bit of example of what I'm trying to show. So both parts are taxed separately. So we'll look at the federal part first. So the federal part, basically how tax works in Canada is that you fill in each tax bracket first. So for example, in this case, our income was 80,000. So you fill in up to 58,523. And that part is taxed 14%. And then the remaining, so 80,000 minus the 58,000, whatever's left, that's the only part that goes into the next tax bracket. And that's the one that's taxed higher. So when you usually hear terms as like, as your income increases, your tax rate also increases, this is the stuff that they're talking about. So not all of your income will have a higher tax rate on it. It will just be the portion of the income after once that first bracket is filled. So that's kind of how it works for federal level. Plus, it's kind of the same for provincial level as well. The tax rate is just different. And then your total tax that you pay federal plus provincial is these two numbers total. So federal plus provincial added, they make your total, which in this case was 17,426. And just like a simple number, once you have a certain idea of how much tax you pay, then like you can just easily calculate it like this. But how it's actually calculated is usually in this type of way where there's like tax brackets. Now that one was a good starting, but it just accounts for federal and provincial income tax. So usually when you get your paycheck, it has a few other things included as well. So for example, some CPP payments and EI. CPP stands for Canadian Pension Plan, and then EI stands for Employment Insurance. I like to use this calculator by Wealthsimple just because it gives a better idea instead of just the federal and provincial tax. So for example, let's use the same income of 80,000. So the tax here, which is total tax is 18,843, is a bit different from the total here because it does account for CPP and other credits. So this calculator might give you a little bit of a better picture. It's still missing quite a few things. Like for example, you might get some credits, you might have some deductions and other things that might reduce or increase your tax, but it does do a good job in general. So if you're working as an employee, you get a paycheck, it's pretty self-explanatory. All of this is kind of already cut out before you get your take-home pay. But when you're self-employed, that's when this tool could be extra helpful as well because you pay tax afterwards. So you might want to know beforehand how much tax you're going to pay for the year if you want to second estimate. And then this is really cool too, the RRSP and FHSA deduction. So if you're looking for a smart way to reduce your tax or get a tax refund this year, so like let's say you did end up paying 18,843, so you can contribute to your FHSA and RRSP. So let's say in total you contributed 10,000 this year, so you can reduce your tax that you owe. So either if you're self-employed, you owe less tax or you'll get some type of tax credit back. And then there's lots of other things as well, which I won't go into. Just wanted to share this just so next time tax season comes around, you have a good idea about where tax is going, how it's calculated, and also when you're looking at your paycheck as well.